I'm starting to see some buzz around it now. Like, I decided to give up my career so I could be a stay-at-home mom. And I said, that's great, but I did not. I love my career. So I wish we could be kinder to each other, but that was a rough time when your kids are little and you miss a lot of things. And then you see other moms and you start to feel FOMO, but you have to forgive yourself.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Amory.
This is Leaning Into Being, the show that allows you to be your all so you can give your all.
Brought to you by Hello Mamas and Hey Mama.
Amory, I'm so excited for our next guest today. Dawn Hilarczyk is the most incredible powerhouse woman, role model, mother, and she's going to share her journey in the skincare and beauty industry. And she's currently the COO at Borghese.
I am so excited as well because not only is Dawn a powerhouse, but she is also one of the kindest and most intentional leaders that I've ever met, just from previous conversations, understanding how she thinks about leadership and supporting her team. It's really a game-changing conversation. I know she's going to share some of those tips with us today.
I can't wait. I'm sure, knowing Dawn and the incredible conversations we've had with her in the past, we're probably going to laugh, probably some tears. So I'm just excited to hear all of her advice to aspiring mothers and those who are also looking for professional advice in their leadership roles.
Me too. Me too. Dawn is that woman that does it all, where you ask yourself, wow, does she have more hours in her day? How is she managing to get so much accomplished? And the things that she does are really just incredible. She has a philanthropy, an incredible career. And so I know that Dawn's going to share some of those things with us today, but I also know that she makes time somehow to watch Netflix and is going to share how she manages to do that with us as well.
Ooh, I could use a good Netflix new season to watch. So let's dive in.
My name is Dawn Hilarczyk. I am a mom of 3, 21, 19, and 17, 2 boys and a girl. So I'm definitely in this college, high school age where growing as a family and becoming more friends, which is really nice. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Borghese Inc., which is a beautiful Italian skincare brand. And I'm a legacy beauty veteran. I've been in the industry for over 26 years. If I have to say who I really am, I think mom, wife first. And I'm also a big philanthropist, so I give back a lot. Beauty is my day job, but it's also my passion. So I don't consider it work. I don't consider anything work if it's your craft. And I think this is my craft.
I love that. We would love to hear a little bit more of your journey in becoming the CEO of Borghese. How did you get here? Tell us all about your journey.
It definitely was unconventional. So I went to school in Alabama. My family's military, so we lived all over. And then I went to Auburn with my husband, where we met. So at the time I needed a job. I had no money. I went to the mall. This is back in the day when you actually answered ads in papers. And I went to Parisians, which doesn't exist. And I said, hi, I'm here to be the counter manager at Trish McAvoy. And they said, well, what experience do you have? I said, no, none. I just waited tables. I could do it. They're like, no, get over at prescriptives. You need some experience. 1 year later, I applied for counter manager position at Trish, got the job, managed that, traveled around with Trish in Atlanta and Alabama and did events, and she moved me to New York. And I was a makeup artist for her at New York City at her biggest store, which is Bloomingdale's 59th Street. And that really catapulted my career in beauty. And I started doing work in New York City. This is, in the 90s. So, just scrapping work. And I was very lucky. Barney's came calling and asked me if I'd work at Chanel. And I did a lot of celebrities. I was very lucky to be there during Sex and the City filming, The Sopranos, height of fashion. I did that for a year, did a lot of good clientele backstage, all that fun stuff, print. And then Estee Lauder walked in the door and said, we heard about you as a makeup artist. We want to recruit you to come to Lauder and work as a makeup artist on our makeup artist team. And I was like, oh, okay, great. This is an amazing background. And then 9/11 hit. And so Lauder was like, we don't know what we're going to do. We're going to need to figure this out. And so Lauder decided to divide all of us up into different regions. So I was managing Macy's as a makeup artist for them. And I worked for Macy's. At the time, it was going through Federated and all that stuff. And then that really put me into corporate America. Estee Lauder is an incredible brand. I learned so much. It was a great training ground. A year later, I became education. From there, I was there for 7 years. Then Shiseido recruited me to be education. Then a year later, I started getting into the strategic role. I knew I was always creative, but I'm much more strategic as a businesswoman. And so that really opened up between Shiseido and Lauder and having amazing women mentors. I mean, Thea Breen is like an icon. Heidi Mannheimer, first CEO of a male Japanese company, amazing. I knew I wanted to do leadership and I wanted to be strategic. So then I went into startups, did some specialty work. And then 5 years ago, I got a call to help start a new company called Noble Panacea, which we all know together. And I worked with Sir Fraser Stoddard and the team to build this incredible brand from scratch. That learning was a game changer. And you know this as two female founders of a company, to build a company from scratch with like no bank account. We had no buildings. We had no offices, teams. And then we went through COVID. So to go through COVID and try to protect everyone that you had told, leave your job and stay with us, but tell the investors that we need to keep this going. And how can you keep everyone on your payroll? We laid off no one in the company and we kept the business going. That really was my strength and leadership. And I really learned a lot about myself and how I want to be a leader. And I think that between good foundation and fundamental with the big brands I started with and building this company and being able to be entrepreneurial and work with amazing leaders at Noble Panacea. And then I also had started a nonprofit at the same time and a food company. Those things set me up for this role. And I think this is my moment to lead Borghese back into the renaissance it's at. It's had a lot of different leaders, same incredible owners. It's an amazing legacy brand, but it needs a renaissance. And I think it's the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm very happy to be here. I really am. I feel very grateful to be able to lead this company back to the powerhouse it was.
At Borghese now, what does a typical day look like for you? And how do you balance the high demands of this position and your responsibilities as a mother?
So I, first and foremost, am a mother. I have 3 rules. I started this about 15 years ago. I will not walk in the door on the phone. I will literally drive around the neighborhood or sit in my car. I did it last night, actually, till 8:30 until I got off the phone. The second is I'm always available. I wasn't at the time. I grew up in the world that you didn't really talk about kids. There wasn't social media when I was starting as an executive, and there was no female C-suite. Really none. The big guys, they have, it was very, very unusual until Heidi and Thea to see women in this business and women with children, which also is very rare. So I had to learn through mistakes and my family keeping me grounded that I needed to always be available for them. So if they call me or they text me, I go, excuse me, 1 second. Okay, are you okay? I'm back. So I wake up in the morning and I always think about what do I need to do to be my best self. So I always take a moment for myself. I don't have time, that's my own fault, to meditate, but I do kind of drown myself into like social media and looking at content and reading articles. I always look at you guys. You always post a great quote every single day. If it's really meaningful to what I'm going through, I always reshare it. I look at LinkedIn. That gets me kind of going. And then I ride the bus for 2 hours from Pennsylvania to New York. And that is a game changer because that allows me to watch Netflix, read, listen to music, sleep. So when I get here at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm my best self for my team. And from 8 to 6 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 10, whatever, I literally am present for the team that's here. And I'm always ready for them and always available for them. And then I get back on the bus and it's my time. And I literally decompress so that when I walk in the door, I'm not carrying work on my mind because I used to do that a lot. And it's not fair to my family or not fair to my husband. So I've learned not to do that. And sometimes I just drive around the neighborhood or I'll sit in a parking lot or I'll go to Target for a minute. But I try to decompress. I don't want to bring anything home.
So powerful.
I had to learn.
Yes.
And my husband had to remind me that I want my best self sometimes. And and my children used to say I used to run our household like a business. So it wasn't because I learned. I had to learn, and other people that love you have to be honest with you.
Well, I want to double click into something that you just said as you were talking about your incredibly busy schedule and how you are able to incorporate these pockets of time where you have some time to watch Netflix and, take care of yourself, have some me time. How important do you think that time is in your success and your happiness to to incorporating that in on the daily basis?
I mean, I think it's critical for a lot of reasons. One, it allows me to be a diverse person. So I'm not just like work, 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 or mom, mom, mom. That when I talk to my team and it's kind of awkward or we've had a really tough conversation, I'll say, hey guys, like, who's watching Bear? And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm watching, what do you mean watching Bear? Oh my, I watched, did you see the episode last night? Like, it allows me to decompress, but at the same time, do something outside of the work I'm doing. Or even with my children, hey guys, are you watching? My daughter's always like, you have to read this summer. She's like, you have to read It Ends With Us. So on June 1st, she's like, Mom, I need you to read It Ends With Us. And I said, I don't know if I have time to read. She goes, the movie comes out in August. I said, okay, great. So those things with commonalities allow more than just for me. It's enrichment for whoever else I come in contact with. That's not just work and mom.
So what I'm hearing you say is that having time for you and taking care of you is a big part of your leadership, which
It
is
is.
amazing.
It is. It is, and it allows my team to also feel they're humans. It's not just about work. Let's talk about other things because we spend a lot of time with each other, and I want to make sure that they know that it's not just about only the specific thing we're talking about. That I'm interested in them first and foremost, and not the work we're doing. I'm really interested in them, and then from that, the work comes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, there's so many things that we could continue on. Like, I want to know what's your skincare routine now with Borghese?
I knew there was something special when I came here. I knew the products had stood the test of time. It's 65, 67-year-old company. My skin feels pretty good, and I've used some great products. But it's very minimalist here, which is great for me now. Busy mom, simplistic system. I cleanse. I use my serum, my moisturizer. I multi-mask a couple times a week, and that's it. I don't have time to do like 10 different steps. So I cleanse my skin at night, and sometimes I'll just do we have an overnight mask that you put on after you cleanse and go to bed. I really try to make sure that my system makes me feel good, but I'm not taking away from other things I could be doing.
Which is so important for all of the busy moms that you don't need the 15 step. It could be something as simple as the 2 or 3 step, depending on the night and what you're going through.
And who has time? I mean, we all want to be our best self, but if it's stressful and it takes away from what makes you, some of us love it. My girlfriends they sometimes use 15, 20 steps, but it brings them joy. But for me, I want to do the bare minimum to make my skin look great and also have more time for myself, whether sleep or relax or whatever.
I want to share something. So after our Strong Like a Mama event, I came home with my amazing Borghese products. And I have 2 girls who are super into skincare. They love the routines. And we had so much fun. We pulled our hair back and we did a little mud mask party. So I'm so curious, how do you talk to your girl about her skincare and help to support her? Because I know that it's such a big thing with girls right now.
I've always said to her, you are beautiful for who you are. So I don't want her to always feel like she had to wear a lot of makeup or whatever. But I always did say hygiene is important. And we talked about good hygiene in general when they're little, this with kids. And she's actually taught me a lot. I'll be honest, I'm going to give her credit. She has taught me to really make sure I cleanse my skin every night. I'll tell you, up until 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, I didn't wash my face at night. Ever. And my mother never washed her face at night. And I know you're supposed to. I know, scientifically, I know. But I just didn't have time. And I just was so tired all the time. So she taught me, Mom, put the headband back. And when I start looking at her doing it, and if she wants to do it and give effort, then I need to do it. And then we just talk back and forth, what works for her, what works for me. So she's really taught me that it's important to start early, and also that every single day your skin is changing. And so why not take care of it, whether you're 60 or 80 or, 16. But I do try to tell her that don't get overhyped with what's going on with trends. Stick with something. Dr. Grace is an incredible skin expert in our brand, and she has said to me, stay with what you're using. Skin needs you to be consistent. Stay with it. So I try to get her to not be so obsessed with the trend. But if she wants to try something, I say, go for it, but just be careful. Don't think you need to overdo it all the time.
I love that. I love that, that's creating an opportunity for you and your daughter to bond too, and, ask those questions. And Amory and I love and support you and know that you're an incredible mentor and supporter of women, and particularly as a leader. How do you support women in the workplace that might be also navigating earlier in their career and motherhood and having lack of confidence and just needing to figure this out? How do you do that?
I think the first thing I did, which I wish that was done to me, I didn't have a lot of the women I worked for in the leadership role didn't have children. And that is just a personal choice, right? So I think when I had the opportunity to have a voice at a certain level, like from a director and above, where you start to get that level of people paying attention to what you have to say, I was really open about my relationship with my children and my family. And, when I was at Shiseido, it was bring your children to work day. I brought my children. Some people didn't. I didn't care. And I think the more we peel back the layers that we all have a family. First of all, if you have a family, I'm so happy. At Noble, almost every single person on my team got pregnant when they were under my leadership, and we celebrated it. Because if you're having children, that is a good sign that your whole life is content and things are going well in the universe for whatever you're going through. That makes me so happy. So right away, I start talking about it. Like when I interview someone, it's not about your skill set. It's about what makes you happy. What about your life? What do you need for balance? I have a vice president, has 2 little girls. I'm like, at 5:30, I'm like, get out this door. Go. I'll sit here at the door with the door open. You need to go. Let's go. No, you need to go. Like, you need to go. So I really try to instill that is more important than what we're doing every day. That your life and having something outside of this career is what will bring you joy in the career. Because if it's just work, I'm a little concerned.
Absolutely. And modeling motherhood in the workplace, as you said, putting motherhood on your calendar, telling your team when you're going to your daughter's doctor's appointment, when you're, taking your child to a baseball game or anything that you might do is one of the biggest gifts that you can give. And the fact that you're telling them like you have somewhere to go, go and get out and do what you need to do is such a powerful thing. How did you arrive at this sort of philosophy? I know you talked a lot about that you had some great mentors who supported you. Can you talk a little bit about your mentors, maybe how they helped you to align with this and any great advice that they gave you?
So early in my career, I didn't have that corporate culture. And so I would literally be pumping and have to sneak around and figure out how could I be teaching and then pumping. And by the way, not in a bathroom, not in a closet, not office. Like literally I would be in the stall. There was no setup for that. And I would be crying, going, guys, we're going to take a 15-minute break. And I'm trying to pump when you need 30 minutes for this. And I would cry and cry. I'd be on the road. The plane would be delayed. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this to anybody that I can affect their life in a positive way. I'm not doing this. So now fast forward, I had a woman who never had children. And I'll tell you her name. Her name is Mary Ivers. She is to this day one of the most incredible leaders I've ever had. She didn't have children and she was single, but she always cared about humans and her team. And she taught me that team is first. And she was a fighter. She would fight for us, but she was tough. She was really tough on me. She demanded a lot from me, but she opened up the door for me to try different things. But the minute I needed something with my family or the minute someone got sick or I got sick, she was all about team. She would text everyone, guys, let's do food, get everyone going, flowers, whatever they need. She was a game changer and what I learned from a female businesswoman, how to treat other people. Because culturally, we were still not in that great mindset for women at the workplace. That came years later after my children had been much older. But she was die hard for her team. And people at this day will say they will work for her. They'll walk through water for her. And I agree the same thing. I think she's a game changer.
I think that's so important that sometimes you don't need to be a mother to recognize what mothers are going through. The human aspect, especially in today's world, like just treating people like human, like the old school golden rule, we should treat others the way we want to be treated is so important. On that, Dawn, you mentioned early on that you started a foundation and you're doing a lot in philanthropy. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes. So my husband is a teacher and he came to us and said to me, do we have any clothes that Jack has, or my older son, in his closet? And he's like, I have a student that's been wearing the same thing for a couple of days and now it's been missing school. There was some incarceration and some death in the family and the child feels insecure in high school to not go to school with the same clothes. So I went in Jack's closet and I was like, oh my gosh, he has like 5 Abercrombie sweatshirts, like, and he has tags on it. That's like embarrassing. So I took them out. I went on Facebook real quick and I said, hey guys, I never asked for anything. This is the situation with Andy's student. who can do within 3 days. So this is Friday to Sunday. I had gift cards, a completely dining room table full of brand new clothes. And I started doing research like, wow, how much money do we have in our closets? How much do our kids take advantage of that other kids may never get that shirt? So that led me to Thoughtful Threads of the Heart, which was founded in 2018. And what I do is I set up pop-up stores in inner cities or school districts where children can come and shop for free. All of my clothes are brand new or slightly worn. We sort everything by size and by gender, whatever they want, and families can come. And what I learned is that through this, a lot of research is that typically bullying happens in 3 ways. Obviously, we know appearance, but also clothing. Number 2 is when children don't have clothes, they tend to miss a lot more school. And for girls, there's actually sexual violence that can happen. So you think, oh, who cares if they have one outfit to wear to school every day? Well, that's actually a big issue. And in middle school and high school, it's a higher dropout rate. So by me giving the opportunity for these children to have clothes that they feel like they belong, they, one, feel more confident, they go to school more often, there's more hygiene standards that are raised, and their parents don't have to worry about buying that. They can buy food and other things for school. So Thoughtful Threads of the Heart now has been, it's been transposed. Last week, we just did a drive for a foster care system. I just did another drop off for the homeless shelter in my area. And now we're working with women that COVID was really tough. We had women that were in domestic violence situations that had to escape with their children with only a shirt and a backpack. And so we're clothing them as well. It's evolved to other things, but that's where it starts. But it brings me joy. I love my job and I love my craft with work, but I love Thoughtful Threads of the Heart. I love having children come and I could cry, pick up an Under Armour sweatshirt and go, I would never get this.
So powerful.
In their whole life. They would go their whole life and never get a Nike sweatshirt. And my kid has 10 of them. So powerful.
So powerful. All the hairs on my arms are standing up, as a mom, just thinking about that, just thinking about having, a child who doesn't have any of those opportunities and how happy and how excited they are. But not only that, how you can impact the rest of their life, because if they're not going to graduate from school, there's going to be an effect on the rest of their lives. But if they graduate from school and they're able to get a great job, they can make huge seismic shifts in their life and in other people in their community's life as well.
It's a big issue in our country that we don't think about. And people sometimes think, oh, what you're wearing you're so superficial, Dawn. And I said, you have no idea what it feels like for a child to go to school with the same outfit every single day.
It's so true.
And sexual violence for girls that don't have undergarments and bras to wear in middle school and high school that walk through inner cities. It's totally a game changer. It changed my life. It really made me look differently at things. So that's the joy, I think, on the side.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm going to do a little switcheroo and change up the tone a little bit, because we've talked so much about all of these incredible things that you're doing. I'm wondering if you can share, because it probably seems to everyone like, wow, she's done all of these things and it's probably been so easy for her. Could you share any challenges that you faced as a mom building your career, and what powered you to get through them?
I think you and I think we have all gone through this, but it's the war moms. There's a book called Mommy Wars, and I read it very early in my career. Friends of mine, we went and passed it around. And it's the battle between the stay home and the working moms. And it's still going on to this day. And every back to school year you see it. And the battle is that I had to forgive myself for missing a PTA meeting. I had to forgive myself for being late to, Valentine's party at the kids' school. And I was pretty active. I was PTA president. I ran the soccer team club. I did all those things too, because I just love it. Snack stand, everything, donation, this and that. But I had to forgive myself when people would say, oh, I knew you're missing out because you're working. Or must be nice to travel. I'm home with 3 little kids changing diapers. No, I still change diapers. It's different. We still do that though. Women we're really not so kind to each other, whether you work or stay home. I'm starting to see some buzz around it now. I decided to give up my career so I could be a stay-at-home mom. And I said, that's great, but I did not. I love my career. So I wish we could be kinder to each other, but that was a rough time when your kids are little and You miss a lot of things, and then you see other moms and you start to feel FOMO. But you have to forgive yourself.
It's so important and definitely relatable, I think, on both sides, right? And one of the things that we're certainly hoping to build with Hello Mamas is really creating this opportunity for support, regardless of whether you're in a professional or a personal motherhood journey. We want to be there alongside of that and encourage that support at all levels. It's really important, especially in today's society and even in the workplace, like even as companies are demanding people to come back into the office, and that we kind of enjoyed those moments and had a sneak peek into each other's lives when we probably weren't having those conversations. I know you've mentioned briefly some recharging aspects and maintaining these pressures, and how you take a little minute on the bus, and all of these little kind of hacks, if you will, that you do. Could you share, like, for somebody who is relatively new and juggling all of these things and wants to have aspects of the professional career and PTA president, and is juggling all of these balls up in the air, what would be your advice and how to them on how important it is for them to focus on self-care and maintain that balance? Like, how could you tangibly help?
So if I take myself back to when my children were little and I was trying to get into, a different level in my career, what I would tell myself then, which is what I've learned now, is two things. One is what I call the relationship audit, which I think I've talked to you guys about before, and I'll share with that a little bit more. And the second is really looking at what in your life you're willing to let go. So for me, I was willing to let go of my house being a little messy, and I'm super organized. And I got a cleaning lady. And at the time, financially, I couldn't afford the cleaning lady. But I was willing to not get my nails done or go out to dinner every night or every weekend with my husband or whatever it was, so I could have a clean lady, because I didn't want to clean my house on Sunday. I wanted to play with my kids. So that's a financial decision. So an emotional decision was, before I could afford a clean lady, I would say, I'm willing to let my house be dirty. I'm willing to not do all my laundry, and I'm okay with it. You have to let yourself go. You have to figure out what in your life takes away time that you don't really have to do it, but you do it because you think you do to be a good mom. Like, I have to have dinner on the table every single night. I have to make sure I pre-pack their snacks. I have to make sure they have the best goldfish, and I have to go to college. Like, literally, you have to learn to say no. That word as a mom is really hard. So teach yourself to say no and be okay with it without the back of your mind going, I feel so bad, I feel so bad, I feel so guilty, I feel so bad. I took a class on it. It's called Gremlins in Your Head. There's a woman named Carrie Preston who's an amazing leadership for women, and she taught me how to get the gremlins out of my head and how to say no. And the second is relationship audit. I decided that if you don't bring me joy and I'm not laughing more than I'm concerned about what you're saying behind my back or how you're supporting my family and my choices, then you no longer could be in my relationship. And I teach my daughter that too. That is a game changer, because that got me through. I had great friends that would pick up my kids. I have this one girl, she would pick up my kids, take them to soccer. And I said, I used to give her a Mother's Day card. I said, you're like Andy's second mom. Thank you so much, Jess, for doing this. And we just give back. And I was willing to let it go. And the guilt I felt, because I knew she was in good hands. But the relationship audit's huge. Look who's around you really supporting you for your success. If they want your best interests, they need to be in your life. If you think that they're questioning or they're making little stark comments, they're not ever going to be there for you. They're never going to support you and your children on the venture that you're doing, your family. And then the word power, no. Get the gremlins out of your head. That one I had to take a class on, so it wasn't like I learned on my own, but I had to learn how to get the gremlins out of my head and say no.
I love that. Gremlins out of your head. I'm going to start saying that. Like,
because we do say bad
I wrote it down
all the time. We say bad things to ourselves all the time, and no one else sees what we say to ourselves.
It's so true. It's like, if only we could be as nice to ourselves as we are to our children or the people around us. It's so hard for us. Do you struggle with that as well? And if you do, what are some of the kind things that you say to yourself when you feel yourself starting to go down that negative self-talk?
I used to say, like, I don't care. I don't care if I don't get invited. I don't care if, this happens or that happens. And then my girlfriend's like, that's not true. You really do care. And I would say to myself, okay, why do I care? But I think what I do now is I try to say, this is the best I'm going to get. Like, this is what I can do best for myself. And some days are better than others. I try to say to myself, I'm a good mom. Now I say it out loud. I used to say it to myself. Now I say it to my family and my husband, I'm a good mom and I'm a great wife. And I am. And I say it out loud because it is an affirmation. Like, I am a good mom and I am a good wife and I'm a really good boss. I'm a cultural boss. Like, very few people are going to have, I am a good boss. I know I am. Like, I'm good to my teams. So I say it out loud now. I used to just like try to talk myself into it, but I really have proven that I am. And I am proud of it. It used to be like, don't say stuff about yourself positive. You're so narcissistic, right? All moms are so afraid of like loving themselves. And now I just say it because I am proud of it. But it took me a long time.
It's so powerful to say I'm a good mom. And
Yeah.
I just did it now and I was like, ooh, I'm a good mom.
But you look at those children. First of all, children are born, no child's born evil. They're born kind and gentle and loving. And you look at these little precious things and you say, they're smiling every day. When they see you, they hug, they smile. You did that. You did that. If you did that, you're a good mom. Like, we did that. Children are raised in the culture. They're little sponges of who we are. So we deserve to get credit for that.
So true. It's so, so true. Dawn, I mean, we have cried. We have
I cried. I usually
we have laughed. I got a good cry in there.
I try to like be like, are you supposed
But we're coming to kind of our conclusion here, and I have one question that I'd love for you to share around thinking back on a moment that you can't believe you survived and or are still laughing about today.
I mean, I always laugh that I never could figure out how to I don't know what it was, but I never packed clothes in the diaper bag. And we always had to go, and my daughter was so sick, and I don't know how I never could get this straight, but I never, ever, ever could pack clothes. And we always had to stop at a store and get clothes because she would have an accident. And my husband's like, you just can't get this together. I'm like, well, then you do it. No, because I won't wear the right outfit. I'm like, that's true. I think that's one thing I crack up when I look back at like raising my children. And then I always just laugh at the times I spent stressing about the dumb stuff. Like, who cares if the goldfish were in a brown bag with a flower on it versus like a Ziploc? Like, why was I making my family and me crazy to put like stars and stuff on it for little people that just wanted the goldfish? And I do say one thing I remind myself every day is that little people care about quality. They have no concept of time. They don't know if it's an hour with you or half hour. They don't even have any concept. Big people, time matters. And so someone early in my career said, little people, little problems, big people, big problems, and you better make your career at that point. So you can accelerate when they're little. You need to slow down when they're in that middle stage, middle school, high school, and then when you can check back in again for acceleration. And I was lucky to do that. But I didn't get jobs I wanted because someone said, are you sure you're going to travel? And, the universe aligned. But I look back and go, why was I so worried about this stuff?
I feel like I never wanted to waste the good outfit in there. So I'd have some hideous like stuff that was always stuck in the bottom.
It is true. Because all the good outfits, you don't want them in there. You want them in the closet ready to wear.
Right, exactly, for that special moment. But I do think that that's important. I struggled with that after I had Brayden, and thank God the New York Times came out with an article in 2013 that said, it is not quantity, it is quality. And that's, so true today as a mother, as a professional mother, and in everything we do, it's the quality, not the quantity.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're so right. And it can be like 2 minutes that you have a really great tickle laugh in the morning with your kid, and that just changes their whole
So,
day.
the
2 minutes.
fact that you're saying that now makes me so happy. I remember those moments. I have teenagers. My daughter comes home, they're like vampires. They stay up all night. And she comes home at like 9:30. I'm getting ready to fall asleep on the couch, Netflix. She's like, so I have to tell you about my day. I have to tell you about the tea, I have to gossip, blah, blah, blah. And my husband and I just pause it. We look at each other. We're like, we got to do this. We got to do it. We got to hear it, because if we don't give her this 30 minutes, we don't get it again for So it is about that moment, whatever you can do to be in that moment.
I heard this somewhere that there's like the 9 minutes that are most, I'm sure it was Instagram, the 9 minutes that are most important in the day, the 3 minutes when you wake them up, the 3 minutes when they come home, and the 3 minutes before bed. And I was like, wow, okay, I can do that. I can be really good for 9 minutes every day. But I think it makes a big impact.
Yeah. Well, that totally makes sense because their statistics show that people only retain 7% of the information you give them. So if you give them a good 3 minutes, that's a moment that it impacts them, right? So that is, all right, I'm doing that. That's a good one. That's
It's a
a
good one, right?
333. I love that.
Yeah.
all right. That's a good one. We can all be
Dawn,
good for 3 minutes.
I've learned so much from this
I
podcast.
know this was so educational and really fun. We
Yeah.
absolutely loved having you on. We're so grateful that you were able to spend time with us today.
I love you guys. I
So,
love everything you're doing.
Thank you.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Dawn.
Thank you for listening to Leaning Into Being.
To get connected and join the Hello Mamas and Hey Mama community, visit hellomamas.co.
Let's connect, support, and grow together in this journey of motherhood.